this isn't about people being too sensitive. This is actually about you lacking communication skills. That's one thing.
Ooh,
do you get what I mean?
Going like that, but they need
I'm just gonna keep it real,
and I genuinely believe it's because they feel disempowered or a lack of control of some failure in their life.
Right
now, it feels like dating has become this power play.
Hello and welcome to the To My Sisters podcast. I'm Courtney
and I'm Renee, and we're your online sisters and hosts of the To My Sisters podcast.
We are all about promoting the wellness, growth, and development of a community of sisters across the world.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about getting that slice of humble pie. Ooh. The obsession with humbling women.
What is your favorite flavor of pie?
Ooh, I'm a cherry pie
you
type
are
of person.
lying.
Yeah, I like me. Oh, wait. Sweet potato.
Really?
Actually, no, I tell a lie.
No, but Renee, what is the truth?
Wait. Peach cobbler. I like pie.
No, I like pie.
If I had to pick one though, I was like held sweet potato.
Wow, I've never had it, to be fair.
It is. I tell a lie, I'm sorry. Renee. I promise this is my
I'm just trying
submission.
to get into the episode.
This is my final submission. Pumpkin pie.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
I like pie, I'm sorry.
No.
What's your favourite?
Apple.
Oh, basic.
Not really.
You might as well have
classic.
An apple it's basic.
Nice, classic.
I wanted more for you, man.
Nice,
I was
classic.
expecting like a blueberry or something.
No, I think the classics... That's why they're classics.
I like cherry because it's sweet. It's got that tartness.
Yeah, sweetness. So does apple.
No.
Pumpkin pie. I feel like it's only the US sisters you can actually corroborate. Like, is it just in America that they eat it?
I think it's mostly yeah. Maybe it's that strong sense of nostalgia, but apple pie, basic.
Well, they don't have pumpkin crumble. Don't have tart tatin with pumpkin. Sweet
but
potato.
You could if you wanted to.
They shouldn't.
Pecan pie. Oh,
okay,
like
no,
pie.
I can rock with you on that one. There we go. We have found a middle ground.
Pecan pie.
Yeah. That's way better. Pie. Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Pecan pie. I will ride for some pecan pie.
Fair enough.
Okay, I think we did find our middle ground eventually.
Fair enough.
Okay, getting into the episode, we have a ding. Oh, before we get into the dilemma, we got some housekeeping to do.
Okay.
Hey, Vision 22, the challenge is still on, ladies. Yeah. I hope you are hot stepping. Keep it walking, 10k steps in a row. We are rolling into another week. So if you failed, if you got 9,999 or 2 steps in this week, then
you are still in the running.
There are 3 more weeks left of August that you can make a difference. Yeah. So please, sisters, put on your walking shoes. Yeah. Get walking for 100 pounds. Yeah. Get fit and healthy, And on top of that, there is still time to donate to our fundraiser. Ladies, we are going to Tanzania at the end of this month.
Yeah, crazies. Come quick.
And we will be doing a sponsored charity walk. So if you haven't already, please donate. Every donation really counts, ladies. Like, if there's one thing that we really want is those donations. No, Dr. Umar will be like, it's donations. Especially seeing that we have recently crossed a very huge milestone.
Yes, sis. We hit 2 million podcast downloads. Absolutely crazy. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for listening, downloading, streaming, sharing, subscribing, all of those things there, and keep doing it. Okay.
Thank you guys so much, honestly, from the bottom of our hearts. Yeah. And the way that you can support us is by those donations.
Yeah, please,
open up,
please,
purse, please.
Yeah, not to us. The donations are not for us. Before y'all get that misconstrued. Right. It's not for us. It's for an amazing school in Tanzania, which we are going to be volunteering at for a give back day whilst we are away. So it's a way that we can all participate in the girls' trip. All right.
So please donate. Every little helps. It doesn't have to be anything mad substantial. Although if you're feeling generous, feel free to exercise the extent of that generosity. But even if you were to donate £1, $1, it goes a long way. And get your friends, your siblings, your sisters, your brothers, mother, your cats, your pets, get them involved too. Yeah. And the link will be below. Yes. Okay. Link in the show notes as well as the description here on YouTube. Now that the housekeeping is done, we can hop right into the ding dilemma. Okay. This one is a fun one. Mm-hmm. Hey sisters.
Hello.
Huge fan of your podcast. It has been such a wonderful tool to my self-development journey. Okay, so there's this guy I was talking to last year. Everything was good. He was a gentleman, kind, caring, and loving. But I messed up and fell for another guy who wanted me for sex and ghosted me after.
Wow.
When the first guy offered me an official relationship, I declined because I didn't want to use him as a rebound. He understood and offered to wait for me, but I felt it was unfair for me to make him wait because what if he were to meet someone else in the midst of waiting? However, a year has passed, we kept contact throughout the year, and I'm seeming to develop the desire to want him in a romantic way. But I still feel guilty about the past, even though he expressed how he forgave me recently and that our relationship is on a clean slate. I want to express my feelings, but I'm afraid that I might repeat the same mistake. I don't want to hurt him, but I also don't want to have regrets for not trying again. Thank you.
What's the mistake in question? Sleeping with the other guy?
I'm assuming so.
I mean, if you're in a relationship with someone and your fear is, well, I might sleep with someone else, I don't think you're ready to be in a relationship. I don't think you should feel guilty about being intimate with the other guy. Or I don't think you should feel guilty about having sex with the other guy when you weren't in a relationship with the guy you're considering. I hope I'm understanding the dilemma right. But if you are considering being if you weren't in a relationship with this guy you're considering now and you ended up sleeping with somebody else, I don't think you should necessarily feel guilty about that because there wasn't any exclusivity, there wasn't any commitments made to each other. So it is what it is. I feel like this guy sounds like he wants to be in a relationship with you, so it's worth pursuing. But if you are questioning like, oh, what if I get with him and I don't stay faithful, my question would be, do you actually want to be in a relationship with this guy?
Right.
Like, that's not by force either, just because he's waiting for you, or he said he was waiting, or he really wants to be with you. Unless you're fully ready to dedicate yourself to him, don't do it. I think that would be unfortunate for him because relationships require commitment if that's what it's going to be, and he deserves that as well. And if you're not ready to give that, then don't lead him on and don't string him on. I don't think that's what you've done so far, but I do think it's worth, if you do want to be with him and he does want a committed relationship, are you ready for that? Do you want to do that? If you are not ready for that, I would tell this guy that I actually can't give you, I don't want to get into a serious committed relationship with you. And I don't want to string you along into thinking I do or that I can. And let him go. Let him be free to find his own happiness while you sort yourself out and sort out whatever it is you're going through. So, yeah, I think this one is quite simple. It's down to you making the decision. And it's down to you, not really towing the line of indecision here and being like, do I want him? Do I not? If you want him, yeah, but don't toy with his heart in this way, I think. But I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, no, I think I'm very similar in the sense of, if you feel as though that you're worried about this happening again, you need to take some time out. Like, it's not worth, toying with somebody else, or especially when somebody else is in the mix, it becomes very difficult if you can't trust yourself. People make mistakes, and I love the way that you phrased it as well, because since there was no commitment to exclusivity, I don't think it warrants this level of guilt that you're feeling, because there wasn't any commitments made. It was literally just somebody, shared their feelings for you, and you like somebody else, you pursued it with someone else, it didn't work. And it's been a year, you've had the opportunity to reflect, you've developed romantic feelings for this guy. He's also said that he's cool with the fact that things didn't work out the first time, but he's happy to pursue it now. If anything, the bulk of whether you take this forward or not rests on you, and whether you feel you're personally ready to commit to this man fully. If the answer is no, then that's cool, you let him know, keep it moving, perhaps stay in contact if you can, but don't block him from other blessings that he could be getting.
Don't lead him on.
Precisely, don't lead him on. If you actually want to pursue this, then go ahead and pursue it, but know that you have the responsibility and now the weightiness that comes with commitment, and make that very, very clear. So I think you're very right in the sense of, this is actually quite clear cut, and there's actually a lot of misplaced false guilt that you're feeling, because you haven't necessarily done anything wrong per se. And it's unfortunate that you had that experience with that guy as well, that ghosted you, had sex with you, ghosted you. And I think sometimes there's almost like a a residue from that experience that can, you know, pour into the experiences that you have moving forward. So I would check myself on that, right? Is that experience bleeding into the way that you're viewing this experience, or bleeding into the way that you could experience this new romantic relationship with this guy? But I think it very much rests on you. You need to have an honest conversation with yourself and determine whether you're ready to pursue a committed relationship. If the answer is yes, then go full steam ahead, but be cognizant of the fact that now that you're in a committed relationship, there are boundaries, right? You have to communicate, and there are boundaries that you have to honor. If that is not the case, then girl, I know you like him, but it's better that you like him from afar and deal with that.
And you should also question, I think, if you actually do like him, or if you're thinking about entering into a relationship with him because the other guy let you down and this guy seems like a constant, or he seems like a safe place, but you're not actually either attracted to him or actually you don't actually want to be in a relationship with him. You rather like the safety he provides. I think that that's also something to say, because it could be that the fear that you have of, okay, but I don't want to make the same mistake, it could be that you're thinking, maybe I actually don't really want to be with him, but I want to be with him because of the convenience and because of the perceived safety. But what if I then end up hurting him? I do think that that's, or I end up just finding somebody who I am attracted to in all the ways I'm not attracted to him. Or it could be that if I let your fear and your, you know, I don't want to make the same mistake again, could be, I guess, a different interpretation of the dilemma, that what if I let this guy go again and then I end up with somebody who then ghosts me or just uses me or whatever, and I don't end up with the relationship, but this good guy who I had as an option is now off with somebody else. That's the risk that's the risk of love, right? If you're not ready to commit and you know that this is a guy who you could actually want and you do actually want and you could grow to love or get to know, that's worth pursuing. That's worth putting effort into and not sabotaging either. But this guy shouldn't, and he hopefully won't, just linger around waiting for you to get your stuff together. It's time to put your big girl pants on and make a decision, and you're gonna have to deal with the consequences of that decision as well. So just weigh up the pros and cons here. I don't think we have enough context to be able to tell you. We don't know this guy, we don't know what your prospects are, like we don't know, and so I don't think we have enough context to be able to tell you, oh, choose him, you know, or to tell you not to. So I do think it's worth just sitting down and weighing it up for yourself and looking at the context of the situation and looking at this guy, whether you actually like him as a person, and maybe just exploring dating him and not putting too much pressure on it.
Yeah. Well, sis, wishing you light and love in this time. And I hope that informs the choices and the decisions that you'll be making in the weeks and months to come. So yeah, I really hope that helped. Then sisters, of course, we would love for you to weigh in on the dilemma as well. Have you experienced something similar? What are your thoughts around it? Anything that you can shed light on or offer our good sister? Please let us know in the comments below over here on YouTube. So if you're listening over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, feel free to, you know, bring your friendly face over here and drop in your thoughts. But moving on to the meat and bones, segueing into the mains. So this episode was inspired by one of the videos that you've done recently. And we've been speaking about this behind the scenes, just back and forth. And for those of you that don't know, if you don't know, you better get to know. Miss CDB here is a YouTuber. She often shares her own glowing and growing journey. She's been on the YouTube streets that have been extremely ghetto at times, for reasons that we're about to uncover and unearth and explore here today. And she shares her journey. She shares her wisdom.
Wow, it's getting too much. It's okay. Thank you. I make videos online.
I'm just
it's
trying
giving
to
introduction to the guest pastor. Videos that she shares her like I'm a guest on this podcast on this.
You know when the guest speaker is like,
she's married with 3 children.
Basically, check her out on her YouTube and stuff. She does stuff on the internet. And recently there was a video that you put out where you were talking about certain standards that you have for different things in your life. So not just, you know, romantic relationships, but also friendships, career, all of that kind of good stuff. And you came across a number of negative comments. Yeah.
It didn't even start there. It was people had something to say. I made a video earlier in the year in around March. I actually filmed the video in February, but I had an issue with the editing. But yeah, I put a video out around March, and I was talking about how I've been single for 6 years, and I often make videos about this topic because the girls on my channel want to be knowing, and they find it helpful, right? And I made a video about how I'd been single for 6 years, the things that I'd learned on my personal growth journey, and just, you know, all these beautiful glowing and growing things. And people were coming at me like, okay, to be fair, okay, the majority of my online community is amazing. Like, I have been so blessed in my online career to just have beautiful people find me. Like, I open up my video saying, you know, hey, beautiful people, I hope that you're all doing well. And I feel like it's because my online community, like, not just on my personal channel, but even here at TMS, have just been great. Like, overwhelmingly positive, overwhelmingly supportive, and just beautiful people. But somehow some gremlins find their way.
You know what's funny? There was a time where I was overhearing Courtney do the intro where you were like, hello, beautiful people. And I was like,
what if they're not beautiful?
There are some in there. And
then I said, it has to be in faith. You have to say it in faith, you know.
There's some in there that look at the gremlin side.
Yeah, sometimes some gremlin type people find themselves in my comments. And you know what, I'm totally open to like discussion. I'm totally open to people disagreeing with me. I you know, as much as I have created my online platforms and that's my online real estate, I'm not a dictator. Like, you can disagree with me, but I do appreciate nuance and critical thought. And I think one thing that the internet doesn't do in general is allow for critical thought and nuance and actual conversation, rather than just, you know, people take a snippet of what you said and they assume they know all about you, and they assume they know all about what you believe and what you're trying to say. And that's why I make long videos, and that's why I love podcasting, because it's like you can actually say what you're thinking, and you can explain exactly. It's not like, you know, short form content. And so people found their way into my comments talking about, you're gonna be single forever, and, you know, this is just, you know, liberal feminism, like, this is just trash, you know. You need to lose weight, you need to lower. And then obviously the standards video came completely unrelated, months apart, just talking about standards, and people like, you do need to lower your standards. A woman called me average. I've been called average so many times. I've been told because of my weight, because of my looks. This woman said I look average, and I should expect average. I can aim for higher in other areas of my life, but when it comes to relationships, I should settle for average. And it's not settling, it's just, and somebody else said it's not settling, it's just settling down. There was quite a few comments and quite a few trains of thought, which I was just like, I actually want to explore this. I actually want to go into this, because I think this is more than just, you know, I think I've gone past the point. So it's a very long intro to the episode, but I think I've gone past the point of like taking. Go away. I feel like I've gone past the point of taking comments very personally, and instead just seeing this as, this is a great conversation starter, because you commenting this, you're not the only person thinking this, you know, and you've actually put effort into writing this, and I've kind of had to have a bit of empathy or like some kind of understanding of like, you actually believe this to be true. Like, this is not, you're not even trying to hate. Like, you actually, there are some trolls out there, there are people who want to make you feel bad, but actually for the majority of people, this is what you believe. And so I actually want to dignify it with conversation, especially because this doesn't just happen in the online world. A lot of my audience, a lot of my, you know, online community and my online sisters experience these kind of conversations offline and don't know how to navigate it. Like, I think one of the things that a lot of people who listen to our podcast say is we give language to a lot of things that they're thinking but they can't express. And so I wanted to create an in-depth video that was like, let's add some nuance, some critical thought, let me actually explain what I was saying. And actually you may find that there are points where I agree with you, but then there may also be points where I think you're perverting truth. And I think that's important to tease out, and that's important to be explicit. You can still disagree with me after this video, but maybe this isn't the space for you. But I wanted to make it clear, because I feel like certain issues keep coming up, and the main thing is humbling women and refusing to let certain groups of women particularly have standards or have ambitions or have goals, and I'm just not here for that, because I think my entire like purpose and my desire for women is to just know the world is full of possibilities for you. And if the world is not full of possibilities for you, I think it's our duty to make the possibilities for you and to help you find those possibilities, whether it's creating opportunity, you needing resources, assistance, whatever it may be. I think that's what sisterhood is for, so that every woman can have possibilities. And that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
The honourable minister. Courtney.
Go away.
That's the last joke. That's the last joke I'll make.
Honourable Doctor
Igwe. Oh, did you see that post? Chieftain. Gosh, what was it? African giant. That one killed me.
Wow.
But no, I think you expressed yourself wonderfully there, and actually touched on quite a few points that I wanted to bring up as a result of your video. So initially, even thinking about, responding so eloquently. I think I even commented like a fat girl.
Oh, you really did. I saw the comment and I was like, girl. I feel so like my big sis has come and she's affirmed me, and now y'all can't tell me nothing.
Absolutely
main account, not the burner. Not the burner. She came and she LinkedIn picture and all of that. This was an excellent video. So well spoken. I said no one can actually dim my shine.
When I say
Renee
has
co-signed.
To find some trolls in those comments. I was
you're actually like my biggest rider, and I actually think this is a big thing for this kind of topic, right? Because people who don't know you may try to humble you, but I think it's who do you have around you who's actually speaking into your real life. And like when I see comments like this, and I'm not going to sit here and lie that they don't get to me sometimes, because the more you hear them, and I think it's also unfortunate that we highlight the negative more than we do the positive, because there were so many people who agreed and so many people who were cheering me on, and I appreciated it, but the negative is just so prevalent or noticeable rather. And so to have someone like you who is like, girl, put your phone down, forget those people, like what they're saying is not true, and you know that, and you affirm me and you encourage me, and I think that matters more to me than what any person on the internet whose profile picture I can't even see has to say about an actual egg.
Sometimes it's a tractor.
There you go. Sometimes it's no picture, it's an avatar.
These will be you know what gets me about these kind of comments though? We'll come back into the intelligent picture talk. What gets me about these commenters is the fact that they actually are real people. I think there was one guy who was like a father of 3 daughters or something like that, and I'm just like, you are meant to be a respectable gentleman and father figure. You've come on this 20-something-year-old lady's YouTube video to comment big instead of you to be parenting your daughters. You've come here to even expose that you have a family. You didn't have to do that. You actually did it. It's just like, is there no semblance of embarrassment that you have in your heart before you come and comment on somebody's video?
You came to expose you have a family. You didn't have to do that.
You didn't have to do that. You've actually come on Beyonce's internet. Can you imagine being married and you come across
a comment from your husband?
John, I've just seen
but
John,
he really thought he was doing something.
I've just seen John 1986. I watch her. Or his daughters coming up.
Yeah. He really thought he was doing something.
For all you know, his daughters could be listening into this podcast.
Hopefully
if that's your father,
tell him to log off
him by the 2 hairs that he has on his head.
Tell him
and say,
take a break. Take a break. But he really thought he was doing something. Again, that was one of the comments that made me think, you really think this, and you think this is going to help me, but it's not.
And this is actually something I wanted to touch on insofar as you engaging with these comments and thinking more widely. Wow,
Renee, this is feeling like an interview. Sorry, but go on.
We're gonna move on. Don't worry, honourable minister. Branching back out, taking it high level. Can you see that I want to be an Oprah or something?
So bad, and we love it. You'll be great at it.
But taking it, on a macro scale and thinking about like the fact that there are haters, but there's also people who come with allegedly good intentions that also harm, maim, injure women, particularly on the internet, but also in person. How do you deal with people that desire to humble women? Essentially what they're doing is humbling women with good intentions, despite those good intentions being lost by the harm that it causes.
That's good. So I think the first thing is, just because you feel like it's with good intention and this is actually what you believe and you think it will help me, it doesn't mean I have to agree. And I think knowing what you believe in and actually being able to process through, because sometimes what people are saying, even if it is hard to accept, it is actually the truth. And I think that's one thing you have to tackle first, right? Sure. I don't think we have to be defensive all the time. I always make this sort of thing clear, and we always make this sort of thing clear. We're growing, like literally growing and glowing process. Like it's a it's a doing thing. It's continuously happening. And so if you do present us with thoughts, and people have done it in the sisterhood, even if you do present us with thoughts where you're like, I actually disagree with you and this is why, and we're like, that's actually better.
That makes sense.
That actually makes sense. We didn't think of it like that. Thank you for your perspective. I think there's that, right? So it's very much, even if it's a hard truth, is it the truth, right? And is it a truth that applies to me? Then there's the people who are trying to give you truth and it's harmful, but the truth is actually not true, right? So it's just their perspective. And I think from that approach, you actually have to be really solid in what you believe in and what you think. And I think that's why I wanted to make the video, because it's like, people may read something like this and be like, oh, that's kind of true too. And it's like, it is true, but if we really take a step back and think about it on a bigger scale, it's actually harmful. And this is the motive behind it as well. And I think motive contributes, because if you really believe that your comment is helpful, the truth is the truth regardless. Do you get what I mean? It doesn't have to be administered with harshness in order for it to be true. And I think some people treat the truth like that. Well, you're just, especially when it comes to women like all this fluffy stuff. They don't like the red pill. They don't like to hear the truth. And it's like, we do like to hear the truth. The truth doesn't have to be harsh in order for it to be true, you know? And the truth doesn't have to be administered harshly for it to be true. And I think that's where, for me, it's like, this may have even been a good point, but you completely lost me with your arrogance, or you completely lost me with your condescending tone. You completely lost me with your inability to engage in conversation, but rather just putting like, this is the truth, we're not, end of conversation. Even if you think about people who try to approach critical conversation like that in real life, you lose complete respect for them, and you actually cannot engage with what they're saying or accept what they're saying, or hear what they're saying, because you're so offended by their demeanor, or you're so offended by their approach to the conversation that there is no productivity that could ever come from this conversation. You actually repulse me, or I've shut myself off from engaging with you, right? And I'm sure we've all engaged that sort of person, and that the saying is true. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I think most people want to be like, oh, we're such a sensitive generation, but I do think you have to pay attention to the fact that human communication, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. And so much of tone and so much of body language and all of that is lost because of the internet, right? When you text someone, you can't really convey a tone, you know? And so I think people need to be careful when navigating the internet, that this isn't about people being too sensitive. This is actually about you lacking communication skills. That's one thing.
Ooh,
do you get what I mean?
Going like that, but they need
I'm just going to keep it real. And as someone who's making the long form content, I'm the one with the privilege, right?
Yeah.
Or we're the ones with the privilege, because we get to explain ourselves for minutes on end, but you don't have minutes of end worth of reading space to write. If somebody wrote a transcript of an entire TMS episode, it's going to be pages long, but you don't have pages to leave a comment, you know? So I get it. Sometimes things are lost in translation, which is why I think if you're going to engage in conversation, you've got to be open to go back and forth. And some people aren't. I then also think you get to this place where you're like, this is actually not true. Like, what you're telling me is actually not true, and it's being administered harshly. You lie. And I think that's what needs to be confronted if you are bold enough and safe enough to confront it. Because I do also think not everyone can confront the things that they hear. Because especially if people are administering something harmful, or in a harmful way, or in a way that's like bullying, or, you know, extremely harsh, or whatever it may be, or a way that makes it seem like you are less valuable, you are not intelligent, XYZ, you may actually be in a place of danger, right? And not even just physical violence, but like digital violence, I guess, if you could say that. Like, you could actually be in a place of danger. And I think, unfortunately, and this is something that we've wanted to confront a couple times, which is this red pill culture, and this, you know, your average at best and the high value and the femininity thing. It could breed not just incelly, but like this very harmful culture, which is, I actually perceive you to be less than me, and therefore I can speak to you in a derogatory way. And I don't care what you see when you look at me. You can't talk to me like that. And I think people would want somebody like me or you to come and back that with they've got these degrees and, you know, they're great. And that's what people usually come with, right? Like, they're great people. How can you talk to them like that? This is how they're so much above average. And it's like, I shouldn't actually have to prove to you why you should speak to me with basic respect on my platform.
Absolutely.
I don't have to do jumping through hoops and backflips
to prove that I'm worth
respect, exactly. And you don't have to be attracted to me to give me respect. You will not just get blocked. I might report you to the police. You don't understand. You don't understand. You can't mess with people like that. And I know that not everyone has that kind of confidence and that kind of boldness. And not everybody has the degrees we have to even be able to be like, I'm going to articulate myself this way. And that's not shade. That's actually unfortunate. I feel like that's why platforms like this need to exist, so that we can give a voice to people who are struggling to find the words. Do you get what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, even if people can't string the words together and people can't articulate themselves, how dare you actually treat them like that? And the reason why, you know, people are not about it is these people never put a full name, the actual picture. And it's like, oh, because I just know this is going to be an unpopular opinion. No, you know, you're rude.
Oh, Courtney, if you don't talk that talk, no.
You know you're rude. And I think there's something to be said for people who you're constantly rubbing people up the wrong way. You know, I don't think truth always has to bitter in the mouth.
You know what kills me? So I'm just being the devil's advocate. He ain't need no
advocates. The devil doesn't need an advocate.
He don't need you. He actually does not need you.
Stop that. You're being used by him. No, but you're being used by the devil. If only you knew.
Why are you always on the right hand side of evil? Of evil. I'm just being contrarian.
Don't. Especially if you can't fully back it.
Oh, that's the worst.
Do you get what I mean? Because even if you do have a contrary argument, because like I said, not everyone has to agree with you, be ready to back it.
Yep.
Like to the ends, right? Don't keep running around the same post, running around in circles. No, explain your point, back it with research, back it with examples, back it. Let's have a conversation. And as soon as you kind of want to delve into more critical thought with people and you kind of pick at their argument a bit, they realize that it unravels. Right. But also, I find that when you're having intelligent conversation or you're having conversations with people about women's issues in particular, their issue here isn't necessarily to get to a point of truth or productive result. It's more so just to be right. And that's just people's approach to argument anyway these days. 100%. I'm just going to prove that I'm right. So you're going to keep beating at this dead horse because you actually at some point must realize you're wrong.
Absolutely.
If you are. And I think even for us, we have to get to a point where we even admit, actually, I see where you're coming from now. You know, it could have been wording. It could have been the way it was said, whatever it is. But if you're actually speaking the truth, because our desire here is to find truth or to find something that's helpful or to find something that is resourceful, then we're going to find the truth. You know what I mean? But I think the reason why people are so obsessed with humbling women and being right about their right to humble women is because they're not looking for the advancement of women. That is not their goal. Women's advancement, women's empowerment, women's, and not just like, you know, these fun brunch, pink suit, CEO, boss babes. I'm talking about like women's freedom, like women's actual issues that concern them. People don't want to do that work and people don't want to see those things happen as much as they think they do. And so their resolve or their aim for their conversation isn't necessarily a productive, helpful response. Do you get what I mean? Or something that sorry, I've talked so much, but like they're not looking for something that actually brings about change or brings about realization or brings about safety or all these things that women need. They just want to be right. And it's like, above being right, women need to be safe. Above you being right, women need help. Lord. Above you being right, not just women, but other vulnerable social groups in the world, right? And that's why I always say, don't talk about women's issues if you're not going to do women's work. Because then your concern is just to be a commentator. It's not actually to bring any form of societal communal change. Or do anything that is, you keep saying it's education, but education is to empower. If you can't empower me, don't educate me.
There we go.
What you're trying to do is indoctrinate me. That is a problem.
That was good. And I love the way that you're talking about like this whole idea of like who is right and who has the truth and who is the truth holder. And I think it underpins this whole, like if we strip it back, really it's about power. This whole desire to humble women. And this is tangential but related. I think that a lot of folks that have the desire to humble women, is a direct result of being disempowered or feeling disenfranchised by the lack of power that they've had over some kind of other. There's something going wrong with their life, right? No,
like they lack power somewhere.
They lack power elsewhere, so they are seeking some form of power through humbling women, right? This whole notion of you can't get what you want because you look like this, or you sound like this, or you don't have what qualifies as you being able to attain these things, I think is a direct projection of the fact that they're failing in some place in their life right now. They are failing, flopping miserably. Because because when I think of, even when we take the high value versus whatever man in society, these so-called high value men, do you ever hear them speak? It's funny that a lot of people at the apex of what we consider successful, or the height of, conventional attraction, or the height of wealth, y'all ain't got that much trash talk to say. You don't have these podcasts. You don't have these platforms. You don't have these opportunities to drag people down, at least in this way. So why is it? The question is, why is it that these fools, a lot of them, think that they can come on other people's platforms and their pages, and sometimes in real life, and check them? And I genuinely believe it's because they feel disempowered, or a lack of control of some failure in their life.
Right.
And this projection is so harmful because it's literally, misery loves company.
It really does.
And it's just spreading misery, because even in the delivery, I hate the charge that women get that we're too emotional, or that there's too much fruitiness or fluffiness that is needed when we're engaging with women. That's and good. It's a flaw. Yeah. And it's not a flaw. It's about respectful delivery.
There we go.
We hide behind this whole idea of, you've got to take it raw. You've got to take it brash. You've got to take it directly. And it's just like, you've been socialized to think that way. You've been socialized to think that because you can speak this truth in such a harsh way, that you are right, that you are somehow superior, that you are somehow above and beyond, and you have the capability. Have you ever considered?
Sorry, go on. Yeah.
Have you ever considered, as you were saying, that you just lack any kind of social you lack class. You lack any idea of class, social awareness, because it actually takes work to be an amenable person. Some of you are trash people to be around. No, genuinely, this whole I'm just trying to be that truthful, that blunt person and stuff, like, people don't like you.
People don't like your company.
People don't like you and don't like your company. And it's not just because, you tell it like it is. No. There's a time and a place for telling it like really it is. But if you're telling it like it is all the time, somebody is not telling you like it is enough. People just to don't let you like you. And you've people, I think there's extremes at every spectrum. And this extreme is the person that tells themselves that, I'm always right. I'm just the contrarian. I'm the devil's advocate. I'm the, the person that will tell you the truth, especially when it comes from men or women that are upholding these patriarchal ideas, right? You want to be that contrarian. You want to be the pick me. And it's actually quite disappointing when it comes from women, mind you.
That's the one that pushed me over the edge.
Women humbling women. It's like, you're average this, you're average that. Babe,
that's the one that really pushed me over the edge.
Don't drag me down with you.
In my head, I'm thinking you don't have to agree with me. You don't even have to like me. But one thing you cannot do is humble me. I understand these men are in these incel-y dark corners of the internet that really smell. I know that. But you... How did you get there?
Stop it.
Ariana,
and
what are you
somehow
doing here?
Think that by performing what is seen as, acceptable, as, re-perpetuating all of these things that we are all trying to dismantle, that you will somehow get the cream of the crop, that you will somehow rise above, by essentially repurposing a lot of the things that are intended to drag not just us down, but you down. You think that you can somehow transcend, that you have gotten to this higher level of understanding, that you have seen the lights, that you have your third eye is open. Let me tell you something, baby, you've been taking mushrooms. If that third eye, no. If you telling me if that higher state of consciousness, you've been on those psychedelics.
No, you are high off your mind.
You are high off some nonsense. The strain so that funny. You're on is very serious, and you had no one to tell you. But let me tell, class A plus. You had nobody to tell you. But if you're listening to this podcast, sister, this is for you. The one tripping off those psychedelics. Come down to earth.
That is so funny. But 3 things actually came to mind as you were speaking, because everything you said was excellent. I think the first one, when you were talking about the attractive people that they don't really have the most to say, I think it's because they haven't let their attraction go to their head. Like, even if you're paid for being attractive, right? A lot of people who are attractive realize, whilst it is a power and it's a social resource and it's social capital, what gain do I have being mean? Now, I do think there are mean people who are also pretty and are mean because of their prettiness.
For sure.
Not necessarily only because of, there's obviously huge character flaws there, but they have an arrogance, and their arrogance is probing them to show bad character. But I do think it's the people who in themselves feel bad about the fact that they have not arisen to their own level that will be quick to tell you, you ain't all that great either, stay here with me. Like I said, misery loves company. And so it's never really the people who are higher on that social ladder or that social measurement who are like, haha, all of you horrible ugly people. Pretty girls don't really be doing that, you know, or, you know, muscular athletic guys with the most money don't, you know, go around telling everybody that they're broke. Why? They're focused. They're just doing them.
They don't have time.
And it's not even just that they don't have time. They don't see these sorts of things as important. Do you get what I mean? It's the people who are like spending the majority of their life thinking, I wish I was there, who would be quick to tell people, you ain't there either. So stay humble.
Or they think that where they're currently at is merely a transitory phase.
And they're going to get there and you're not.
Give me 10 years because I'm going to see you there.
And that's another thing, right? It's telling people your average and make your future life decisions and your permanent life decisions based off of where you're currently at and where I'm telling you are. And it's very judgmental.
Right.
It's very prescriptive. And that's why I don't like it, because we're all on evolving journeys. And actually my evolution and my growth doesn't have to look like what you're trying to dictate
100%,
it to be. Do you get what I mean? But you guys should actually go back and listen to our commentary on the high value issue, the femininity issue, because then you'll get great context as to what we're talking about, greater context as to what we're talking about. But then the second thing that came to my mind was when people are like, oh, you know, I'm just going to administer the truth raw, has that actually worked for you? Has it worked? No, ask yourself, the last time somebody gave you the truth and it was hard hitting and they administered the red pill to you, did it cause you to change? Or were you hurt? And now you're hurt, you want other people to experience the hurt that you felt. Because I can guarantee you, it's not going to be productive. Like in the sense that, like, if I told you, Renee, here's this harsh truth, you XYZ, is that actually going to breed change in you? Or is it just going to make you depressed? Is it going to make you upset? Is it going to make you insecure? Yeah. And then you're going to go off and do the same to other people so that they're just as stuck as you are, or they feel just as judged as you did. Do you get what I mean? And so I feel like that's why people need to take a step back and really understand, right, is this helpful? Is this actually wisdom, or is this a power trip, right? And I can't remember the last thing I was going to say, but it was quite interesting. So.
It's okay. As we'll continue, we'll continue.
We'll get through.
But two things that I actually wanted to, we'll hope that I remember both of them. Yeah. But two things that I wanted to actually touch on very briefly was connected to this whole idea of delivery and words and the way that we engage with people, right? So I don't know if you're familiar with the term negging. But essentially it's a term that's used by like incels and it's on Urban Dictionary and whatnot. But it's this whole idea of backhanded compliments, this whole idea of using like heavy sarcasm and meanness to kind of like get women's attention, for example, get them to kind of like feel as though they want you to validate them, basically putting that in motion. I wanted to know your thoughts on that. And then I'll come to my second point, which is more so around how this whole idea of humbling women affects disproportionate specific groups of women. Yeah, okay. So in terms of negging, I think the first place to look at, I know about it, I just didn't know that's what they called it. It's important to look at why did people feel like they needed to do that in the first place, right? And I think there's this concept of nice guys finish last, good guys finish last, and I think it's unfortunate, and I think it's bad on both parts of, like, I guess if we're talking in heteronormative terms, like men and women have propagated or created that stereotypical idea that nice guys finish last. All the girls, like all the attractive women, boys. They want bad boys, you know what I mean? And bad boys win and they get the best. And I think that's unfortunate, but I do think that's a stereotype which you should try not to believe in, because there are loads of good guys who have quote unquote won, right? And won first or whatever it may be.
the opposite of finishing last. And so I do think that unfortunately we do end up in cycles where we if all we're getting is toxicity and we're responding to toxicity, people think toxicity is what you need to do to succeed. Right. And so I think it's very much a cycle, but I do think the reason why people do it is, again, it's a power play, right? It's a very much so a power play. And it doesn't just happen in romantic approaches or in, people trying to court you. It happens in the corporate world where people try to undermine you or make you, just assert a little bit of dominance through body language, through their communication with you, whatever it may be, their interaction with you, just to let you know we're not on the same playing field here. And I think it's important to realize when it's happening to you, and it's important to realize when you're doing it, because if you are trying to gain control over somebody by making them feel as though if I knock at your confidence a little bit, I may be able to manipulate you a bit better, or I may have you that I guess the concept is I'll have you begging for more of me because you'll want my affirmation so much more. You'll want me to tell you, if I give you a backhanded compliment, you're probably going to want me to tell you you're beautiful so much more. Right. So you're going to hang on my every word. I do think that's a dangerous way to approach people, and toying with people in that way of, I want to make you desire my affirmation so much. And I think men and women can do it, because 100%. I think women can do that with their femininity, right? Affirming men or making men feel strong and bold and stuff. And if you don't do what I want you to do, I'm going to take that away. I'm going to take that approval. I'm going to take that affirmation. I'm going to take that support away from you. And I think it's sad because it's a way that we commonly I'm going to say abuse people, because it's like, I'm actually going to make you feel subpar, subhuman, and treat you with way less respect than you actually deserve for the simple fact that you're a human being, right? In the hopes that it will make you cling to me and make you put your hope in me instead of having hope, not necessarily in yourself, but internally, right? I'm going to take your confidence and take away your self-confidence so that you put your confidence in me. And it's like, that's not a healthy place for somebody's confidence to be.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you mentioned it being abusive.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes we can hear these things and think, it's nothing serious, but it has the capacity to snowball into something ridiculously serious.
Very serious.
To the point where, it becomes emotionally and psychologically abusive. Yeah. It becomes manipulative. Yeah. It even becomes the secondhand rider to physical abuse, right? How often do we find these cases where, like, physical abuse is one thing, but it's often meted out with manipulation and psychological abuse, and negging can actually be one of the ways in which these things are facilitated. Yeah. It's almost like a gateway.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you mentioned that it's a power play as well, because that's exactly what it is.
Exactly what it is.
I hate the fact that we have, especially when it comes to dating, we have made this like so complicated to the point where it's less so about finding someone you genuinely can care about, love, life partner, building families. Maybe I'm old fashioned in that way. Now it feels like dating has become this power play. It's become the, guys versus the girls. Of course, again, this is very heteronormative, but it just feels as though we're navigating a war.
Yes.
We're navigating a war where it's like,
wars.
It's all about getting one up on the other. It's all about like, how can I simultaneously desire but also control this other person? And it's like, this is such a messed up way to view relationships, especially romantic relationships.
Come on.
And I also love the fact that you mentioned different relationships. I'm even thinking about friendships, right? I even think friendships is the one that people pick up on the most, right? The shady friend that always has bad things to say when good things happen to you, right? And it's a shame that we see these things so clearly in friendships, but in other places like romantic relationships or the corporate space, the workspace, or other places, right, it can be difficult to spot. But it's so important that when somebody is negging you or someone is denying you affirmation, even the purposefully withholding love from you or withholding an expression of love, you have got to run the opposite way, because that is a power play. And it's the same for women as it is for men, right? When women are, weaponizing their femininity, they're weaponizing the expression of their love. You have got to run the opposite way, because that is not how relationships function.
And I love that you brought I love it. I love that you brought that up, because I completely agree. We are trying to overcomplicate this. And I think the reason why we're doing it is we're treating dating or relationships as if it is a game that has a winner.
Right.
A single winner.
Right.
Do you get what I mean? And it's not. That's not how the dating game works. And if we approach it like that, it becomes men versus women or me versus you, and not us versus life.
Right.
Us versus the fact that having a good, healthy, functional relationship in this day and age, or in any day and age, has been difficult. And if we're going to make that happen, we have to work together. But how can we work together if I see you as my enemy, or as I see you as the mission that needs to be conquered? Right? That's not what it is. And I think there's this, it's quite, dare I say, like, it's just very scary that we see people as, we need to control them. I need to control you. I need to understand you so much. I need to trick you so much into being able to control you and control the way you think, or control the way you interact with me, either to guarantee that you'll never leave me, or to make myself feel more powerful because everybody wants me. And I think when we approach dating as a statistical game, or as, you know, listening to all these theories that everybody has, and you know, this is what men like, this is what women like, and we don't consider ourselves as individuals and what we desire and where we're trying to go, and we try to play the dating game, we just get caught up in a rat race and this very black hole which denies us the actual pleasure of being in safe, committed, happy relationships where there is respect, intimacy and unity. We don't experience that when I see you as my enemy or as my mission to be conquered.
Absolutely.
If I see you as, oh, do I actually trust this man? Do I feel like he's just trying to play around with me? Do I feel like I actually understand his intentions? You know, do I trust myself in his hands? And vice versa. How am I going to have a functional relationship with you?
It's absolutely not going to happen. And let me address the sisters real quick, because brothers, y'all need a community. Okay, yes, y'all need brothers to hold you to high standards, and we need you to be accountable as men. Okay, that's an issue that, you know, go and listen to the To My Brothers episodes that we have dropped, and we'll deal with you properly. You just sit
I think
down
we're due to make another one of those soon.
Absolutely, sit down where you're at. We'll come and address you soon. For my sisters, just because somebody is playing a game with you doesn't mean you need to participate.
There we go.
Because sometimes we enter into relationships, engagements, thinking, I'm going to get one up on this guy because I've been hurt before, because he's playing a game with me. The best thing to do is not to play that game, because somebody is going to end up, in fact, both of you will burn.
Oh,
okay.
Losers.
Look, there is nothing more stressful than two people who are committed to burning. Nothing more. This is how you end up in situationships. This is how you end up burnt out and upset. This is how you end up bitter. And this is how you end up not being able to move forward or progress with more productive relationships, because you played that game. Do not This is your klaxon call. Sisters, do not participate. I promise you that there is a man out there for you. If you desire companionship with a man, there is a man out there for you that is willing to be in relationship with you and not play a game with you.
That's good.
Do not allow yourself to be taken up by these players, especially if it's a game that they are commanding, because you will lose. You may win, you know, one of the games, but you will lose the overall championship. I promise you.
The fool
will be you, because 100%. You will then have to play with their strategies to win the game, and then you end up. This is a journey of glowing and growing. You don't want to debase yourself, and you don't want to have to end up with a story to tell the people that you're engaging with afterwards as to why this messed up and what was your history. And it's not that you have to like validate yourself with each and every partner, but you're opening up yourself to more trauma as a result of deciding to play games with people that never cared about you in the first place. I need you to stop.
This is it. And it's very sad. And I think it only happens in groups where people don't see relationships and marriage for what they actually are, which is just a journey of two people coming together and choosing to commit to each other because they liked each other so much. Once we overcomplicate it past that point, or even if, you know, you come from a culture where love isn't even the biggest reason why you get married, but more so, okay, two people who come together to build a home and are responsible for children, even if we keep it that simple.
Absolutely.
Once you start to complicate it, you end up in a more dangerous place, if I'm going to be honest, because these things require intimacy, right? But if you end up not being able to trust, how can you have intimacy if I can't trust you? And we're living in a generation where Men are being told don't trust women. Women play games. And women are being told don't trust men. Men are trash. Men ain't ish. Do you get what I mean? How do you build intimacy when you don't even know if you can trust?
Yeah.
You know? And I think that that's where we need to be careful. And I guess this is more so off topics on the humbling thing. But I do think it's important to get invested in real offline communities where you can see that there are some women, a lot of women who are trustworthy, and some men, a lot of men who are trustworthy, and that you can actually find that in your life because you're just looking for one, especially if you believe in monogamy like we do. You're just looking for one. You're not trying to, and this is another thing, you're not trying to appeal to the masses. You're not trying to play a numbers game. You're finding your 1 in 7 billion.
There we go.
This ain't a numbers game. It can't be a numbers game, you know? And as much as people are telling you, you know, oh, well, settle, this will help you, you know, find more options, XYZ, and I hear why there's wisdom behind that. I do think there are simple practical things you could do. Make yourself more available, make yourself feel like you are more attractive, and make yourself, okay, even objectively look more attractive if you feel like that would also satisfy you. But once you do those things and you feel like you're ready for purpose, a relationship will come along in its time.
This is the thing.
That's it. It's not about, like, how do I become more feminine? How do I become more male or masculine? Sorry. And it's like, well, according to who? According to whose standards? Man. According to what standards? And also the people who are laying out these standards for you, do they actually have proof that it works? Because there are a lot of high value men who are not married. A lot of high value women who are not married. Or if that's what your aim is, or who are not in relationships. You know, I'm a high value woman and this is how you are feminine for men to like you. But are you in a relationship?
Right.
You know, I don't think these things are as formulaic as we make it sound. If you do X, Y, Z, you'll end up in a relationship. Not necessarily.
Not even a little bit.
You know, or not in the time frame that you think. Which is why we often say, do these things for you. Go on your own glowing and growing journey. Because when you meet that person, it's two whole people, two individual people, two people who are sure about who they are, sure about where they're going, who are saying, you know what, I think we're actually going to the same place. And I think it would be easier for me to just hop in your car to go.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me. No complexities. Just, you people like pasta too much, yeah? I don't like pasta. People think pasta makes them interesting. It's like, oh, I've got stories to tell you. Let me tell you about X, Y, Z. Sometimes the boring life is the good life, man.
There you go.
Or more chaos everywhere. Why is your house scattered like this?
Why? And honestly, dating doesn't have to be that complicated. It really, like, I really think we need to relinquish our perception that dating has to be complicated. It has to be a game. It has to be, I don't want to subscribe to it. And I think that's how we end up with a lot of people get introduced to the game, right? You may have gone in with the purest intentions, but you ended up with someone who plays games with you. And now you're thinking, you've hurt me. Now I'm going to go off and be a savage. All right. And that's a lot of men are doing that. A lot of women are doing that of, okay, this is how the game is played. This is how you're doing things out here. I'm going to act just like that. And then you end up meeting another unsuspecting person who's just coming in, minding
their business, you know,
doe-eyed. Oh, I like you. You like me. And then you ruin their heart. And that's how you get broken people, and this domino effect of people being broken and heartbroken and not knowing how to heal from it properly, or not even thinking that they need to heal.
So
because if a key, I think, unfortunately, with the whole dating game thing, you know how when you're playing a game you get to pick a player? I feel like one of the key tools, or like the power up, so what do you call it, the like features of each player, one of them is brokenness. I don't think you can play the dating game in the way we are doing it and not be broken.
Wow. Well,
yeah, or have a broken view of relationships. Because I think anyone who has a healthy view of relationships and is healed and is okay within themselves, I don't think anyone will want to play that kind of game.
No, they won't. It's like playing a game of Temple Run and not having anything to your disposal to help you win. You're going to lose, or you'll only get to a certain point and never get past that.
And if you don't unsubscribe from playing that game, you'll never heal. That game requires a bit of brokenness. It requires a bit of dysfunction. Well, so it's not to say don't date. It's stop treating dating like a game.
It's not a game, man. It's not a game. Wow. Well, the last thing I would like to ask you, Miss Courtney, is in a world that seeks to humble women from all places, in all spaces, because we look, if we had time, we could really break it down in the different relationships that women see humbling, right? Because even thinking about some parental relationships or relationships with like elderly figures in our lives, or thinking about like being a woman in the workplace and humbling there. To the women out there who are facing this constant desire from others to humble them, what's one thing that you would say to them?
Protect your mind and your heart, first of all. I don't know, it's techie for me because I do go between like two different mindsets of I don't care and actually I do care. You know?
I thought you were going to say, what do you call it, Zen and World Star Hip Hop?
Yeah, that's my two mind states. Like I'm totally calm, I'm zen, and then the other part of me shouting World Star. I'm
about to beat you
World
up.
Star. And I think that's when it comes down to, okay, but who are you trying to be?
Yeah,
you know, who are you trying to be?
Yeah.
And also like get your, like really protect your heart and guard your mind. Like the online world, I'm gonna be real, there are some places I don't go. There are some content that I won't even make because I know some people will open their mouths and start talking, and I don't know if I can dodge all these bullets. And I think that there's a place where you have to admit I'm sensitive, and that's not weakness. That's because you're human. And so something is going to hurt you. And if that is the case, protect your mind, whether it is on the online space or even in real life. You know, if one auntie's trying to have a conversation, oh, you've put on weight, I'm not even going to engage in this conversation.
Man, you're a better person than me because you already know what my response. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know my response is going to be about her son in jail. I know it.
But yeah, like I'm not even going to engage in this conversation. I'll actually take myself out of this situation because it's not because I don't want to hear truth. It's I want to hear truth in an environment where I'm safe. And if I don't feel safe here, I don't want to hear truth here. Because the thing is, truth is going to open you up. It's going to cut you open and open you up. And you need to know you're hearing truth from people who are willing to do the work to sew you back up and repair you. If you're not in that environment, you're just going to bleed out. Do you get what I mean? So I say protect your heart and really protect your mind from the things that you consume. 2, surround yourself with people who not necessarily affirm you to this toxic place of not being able to give you balance, and just telling you, no, you're perfect, no, everything's all right, but rather people who would just tell you like, okay, firstly, let's eject the fact that you've just ingested some poison here. People, this was bad motive, this was error. Let me affirm you a bit, and now let me sit down and actually assess, how do you actually feel? Because sometimes the reason why these comments get to us is because deep down inside of us, we actually know it's true and we actually believe it ourselves, right? But we know that the change is not instant. We know that the change will not be immediate. And so I think it's the people around us who we can sit down and who can really sit down and be like, okay, well, we know what people are trying to tell you that you should want, right? We've seen it and it hurt you and it cut you, but what do you actually want, right? So like, I think to myself about the weight loss thing, right? People be like, lose weight and you'll get a man. It's like, okay, this is annoying because I'm also on a weight loss journey. And I'm like, I'm not trying to lose weight to get a man, but it's going to look that way. But then being able to sit down with you and be like, no, keep me on track and keep me accountable to make sure that my motives for this weight loss journey is always just my health.
Yeah.
And it's always me taking care of myself and not getting, you know, as obsessive and nitpicky with my body as I used to be, right? Can you actually see my behavior and make sure that I am doing this the right way? You can only really do that with people who are in your real life. So you need to surround yourself with people who make sure that these comments or these ideas or these thoughts didn't push you over the edge. So that's another thing. Surround yourself with people. The other thing is get a solid foundational belief system. Came with like 4. Oh, sorry.
No, girl, keep it going.
I thought you said 3 and you said one thing. Sorry. I think the third thing is get a... Girl, I promise I got a degree. I just didn't read those questions very well. I think the last thing I'll say, though you didn't answer it, is get a solid belief system about yourself, right? No one can tell me anything that is contradictory to what God says about me. I can't accept it. I just won't accept it.
I refuse.
According to this, to accept it.
This says this about me. What you have to say is irrelevant.
Irrelevant, inconsequential. I don't need to hear it. It's a truth to you. It ain't a truth to me, and I don't have to accept it. I reject that. you know. And I think having that confidence and having that knowing in you that you're holding on to a truth that nobody else can detract from, because so many people will try to ascribe your value, you know, you're average, you're high value, you're almost there, whatever. Take me off that spectrum, but then where is your value? You know, where do you actually put your value? You need to find a place that is safe. You need to find a place that is constant. You need to find a place that is solid, to put your value and your hope, because this world and the people in it, we change our minds way too much for us to be standard bearers and for us to be the people you put your hope, your trust, your confidence, your value in. It can't work.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, that was my 3 things.
That was one. The 7 things I hate about you. That's what that made me think of. Word to Miley Cyrus. Literally, the only thing that I have to add to that is quite related to your first point, but be careful that you do not become that which you despise. And I'm speaking to the sisters that have been wounded, that have been hurt by humbling women, that have been, you know, administering this truth, thinking that you're helping your sisters, thinking that, you know, you're going to have some kind of reward in the shape of a partner. You need to leave that alone. So don't allow the bitterness that you may have experienced from other people, or the hurt or the way that you have been harmed, allow you to turn into that. Because the thing about poison is it doesn't just harm you, but it really does get into your bloodstream. And if you're not careful to take the antidote, girl, you're going to die, but you also go kill some people with you. So it's better that you actually address any of that internalized patriarchy. And yes, we've said patriarchy again. There you go. There it is. But don't just focus on like having and identifying when it's being administered to you, but also focus on doing the work around, has this been administered to you in such a way that you are now perpetuating that elsewhere? Are you speaking to your friends in a derogatory manner? Are you failing to recognize the good things that they do? Are you supporting your sisters when they have actually been humbled, right? That's really important. So like for me, it's like there will be situations where folks have things to say about Courtney, I'm ready to go up in arms. And likewise, where I'll come to Courtney and be like, yo, I've had a really bad day. Somebody has said this about me. I love what you said about reminding, look at me even going off track, I like you. What did they say about birds of the
Not
same
like you.
Not like you. Look at what you've done to me. But I love what you were saying about surrounding yourself with people in real life, because they can remind you of the truth as it stands and as they've perceived it, right? They can be your measuring stick as to what are the motivations and intentions of this person, and is there actually truth, even if it has been administered harshly. You need people around you there's people around me that can go to and be like, I've heard this about myself. What can you tell me about what's been said? Based on your interactions with me, based on your relationship with me in real life, is there any truth? Is there any truth? Is this actually truth? Sometimes it might hurt because there's a yes in there somewhere. But sometimes it's really like an opportunity for affirmation, because you realize, actually this isn't true, or at least this is not true to the people that matter most to me. Because we can sometimes really like uphold the opinions of people that we have never seen before. This faceless, nameless internet person, or this guy in passing on Tinder, or this friend of a friend that wasn't anything, or this auntie that, you know, I've only seen when I was 5 years old. These people are inconsequential.
Don't mean a thing.
Don't allow their words to now become consequential. Come on. Okay? It's not relevant to your glowing and growing journey. So please take care to not become that which you despise. Surround yourself with people that can verify, that can actually verify whether this is true. And the last thing that I would say, look at me, give it 3. The last thing that I would say is continue to watch the TMS podcast.
Continue to watch the podcast and get plugged into the things that we are doing over here, because really and truly, I mean, we ain't gonna always say what you like. And I also think we need to do an episode at some point, not in this, where we talk about patriarchy. Because I do think we say patriarchy a lot on the podcast, right? But I do think it's important, especially as two Christians. Christianity is a very patriarchal religion. So I do think it's important for us to establish what we mean when we are saying patriarchy. Just so that y'all ain't talk about break down gender roles and break down homes and break down all these things. It's like, whoa, hold on, bring it back. That's ain't necessarily what we're talking about. Just a moment. But I do think it's worth actually having a conversation about patriarchy and when we say it, why we say it. Sorry,
as well as our recognition of the tensions as well, because I do think that, you know, sometimes when we do say our beliefs or like all that kind of stuff, folks will kind of think, oh, I thought y'all were critical thinkers, and now y'all tell me you're Christians. Don't you know that Christians this is that's what patriarchal, I mean. This is the white man's religion.
That's exactly what I wanted to be, because I do think it's worth having a conversation and exploring. But do you want to see that conversation?
Yeah, we want to know. You know, we're all about having tough conversations here. And on that note, let's continue having the conversation offline.
Excellent.
Close it up. Okay, close it up. I know you're going on your walk right now. You're listening whilst you're at work. I know there's some sisters that be having their headphones in at work.
Looking like you're doing research.
You're doing something and you just have us in the background. Funny. Or the sisters that are tidying up and cleaning up, you know, get your work done, sis. You're almost there. I know it's been almost over an hour, so you should be wrapping up soon. Dinner is on the stuff. Anyways, please let us know in the comments below over here on YouTube. What are your thoughts around the mass need to humble women? Have you experienced being humbled? Have you yourself humbled someone unintentionally or intentionally? Confess here. Let us know. And of course, you can follow us all over the gaff on all of our social media at To My Sisterhood on Instagram. We have grown to a healthy 30,000
What a
followers. Hey girls, what's up? We're gonna have fun. We have a lot of fun on Instagram, but we're also on TikTok and Twitter at To My Sisterhood. We're also on LinkedIn now. We're wowzers.
What? That's news to me. We are on LinkedIn.
We're growing because we're going to be sharing the opportunities for the sisters everywhere. We are everywhere infiltrating.
We love to see it.
When we said that we're going to be a boundary breaking organization, you guys thought that it's just here. We're coming to talk, chat, all that kind of stuff. No, baby. Get plugged into all the medias. We are there at To My Sisterhood. And of course, come and follow us individually. The lovely lady in the vibrant pink. She just brings so much vibrancy into the room. Our guest and senior pastor is at CD Boateng. And of course, you can come and follow me over on my socials at Renee Kapuku.
We love to see it. And sis, please plug into everything that we are doing community wise. Plug into the weekly glow and grow tips by signing up to our mailing list. It is free. It is amazing. Okay, at tomysisters.com. If you want to send us a dilemma, you can send it to dilemmas@tomysisters.com. Just shoot us an email. Keep it brief, keep it concise.
Please, 150
we
words.
beg you in the name of Jesus.
150
we
words.
beg you in the name of God.
Max.
Please keep it concise. But yes, sis, please definitely donate to the Just Giving link. All the information about the cause that we are raising for is there as well. But we will talk to you next week. And as always, keep glowing and growing.